Welcome back to a course on calculus of several real variables. In this lecture, we are going to talk about some definitions like interior points and boundary points. First, let us start with interior points. A point, so it may be any point on a two-dimensional space, is in a region R. So, why do we call this as a region in a two-dimensional thing? It may be any shape like this. Okay, it may be any region of this sort. Fine. So in this region we are identifying some point, and that point we call it as x naught y naught. In the this region is selected in the xy plane as an interior point. If it is the center of a disk of positive radius that lies entirely in R. Now what do we mean by a disk here? Disk means a circle. Okay, in simpler notation, a disk means a circle. If this is the point that you have taken, you must be able to identify some circle which is completely contained in the region. Okay, even if you choose a point here, you are able to identify a very small circle like this. Even if it is somewhere very close to this region, you are able to identify some small circle. Even if you choose very close to this, you are able to identify some circle which is very small, which can be completely contained in this region. Okay, so such points we call it as interior points. Now you may ask me what now I have a point here. I am choosing a circle like this, but the points are not completely contained in the region. In this case, can I call it as an interior point or not? This kind of doubt may ask in your mind. I am clarifying that too. Here it is said that it is the center of a disk of positive radius that lies entirely in R. They are not saying all the points, all the disks of this kind has to be true. Okay, even if you are able to find out at least one circle of this sort, it is more than enough. Okay, so this is the definition of an interior point. Next, we are moving to the definition of boundary point. So what do we mean by a boundary point of a region in R? A point x naught y naught, we are choosing some point. This random point, this is just a naming, you may call it as x1 y1 or whatever you want. Okay, a point is a boundary point of R, of the region R, if every disk centered at x naught y naught contains points that lie outside the region as well as points lie inside R. So whatever may be the disk that you take, be it small, be it large, be it very large, whatever may be the disk that you choose. Okay, I am taking a point here. Even if we choose big one or smaller ones, I am able to see some points which are outside, and I am able to see some points which are inside. Okay, now supposing you have a point here, you have a disk which is completely lying in this. Now you have a disk which consists of some points which are outside the set, some are inside the sets. Now you may ask me, can I say this as a boundary point? No, you cannot say, because you are able to identify at least one disk which do not have any point outside R. So in this case, this cannot be a boundary point. So boundary point means all the neighbor, all the disks. Okay, we are talking about all the disks. Okay, interior point means at least one disk. This is the main difference. Now we extend these things. The interior points of a region are is called the interior of the set. So interior of the set are the interior of the region. So what are the interior points which are lying inside this R? You try to collect all those points and put them in another set, or put them in, okay, actually you are putting them in another set, and that set we call it as the interior of a region. So here this region is basically a set, so which is a set in two-dimensional setup. Okay, so the region of boundary points is called as boundary. Okay, let me write that too. The regions boundary points are called its boundary. So that is you are putting the boundary points of the region into another set, and that set we call it as boundary of the region. Okay, so now this is where our actual definition starts. That is the main definition. A region is open if it consists of interior points only, which means all those points inside the region is interior. In that case we call the region as open set, okay, or open region. A region is closed if it contains all its boundary points. Now a general question arises that can a point be both interior and boundary? No, it cannot happen so. Because in the definition of an interior point, what we say is that we have to identify at least one disk which completely lie in the region, which means it does not contain any point outside the region. Whereas boundary points tells you that all the disks, okay, with the center, with the point as a center, all the disk has to cover at least some point outside the set, outside the region, and some points inside the region. So these two are completely contradictory statements. Hence, we conclude that no interior point can be a boundary point and no boundary point can be an interior point. So, in the definition of open set, what we say is that if the region consists of the points which are all interior points, such type of region we call it as open region, and in the definition of closed one, we say it contains all its boundary points, which mean it may have some interior points. We are not talking about the interior points, we are not focusing on the interior points. Okay, all the boundary points of that region has to be a member of that region. Okay, region in the sense as set has to be a member of a set. In that case only we call that as the closed sets. Okay, next we move to bounded and unbounded regions. So bounded and unbounded regions. So what do we mean by a bounded region? A region in a plane is bounded if it lies inside a disk of fixed radius. If it is not bounded, then it is unbounded. So we simply say otherwise it is unbounded. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Okay, if you see, I have shown you some region already. Okay, if you have this region, choose a disk of bigger radius. You can keep this region inside this bigger circle. Okay, bigger disk. Then you call this region as bounded region. Suppose you take this part. Okay, we say a fixed radius, right? You cannot put this thing into a circle of bigger radius. You cannot have, it cannot happen because it is going uh, to infinity in both the variables. So we cannot say this is a bounded one. Okay, that is for examples of bounded sets can be bounded regions can be line segments. Okay, bounded regions example. So line segments. So line segments means what? From here to here. Okay. Next is triangles. So be it equilateral triangle or isosceles triangle or right angle triangle, any kind of triangle can be brought under this category. Okay. Next is interiors of triangle. Okay, yes, of course, and rectangles. So when you say rectangles, of course squares comes in, circles, discs. Okay, all these are examples of bounded region. For unbounded regions, lines. We are not talking about line segments. Lines that go on both the direction. Okay, lines, coordinate axis. So coordinate axis in the sense these things. Okay, line may go in any direction. It is not vertical or horizontal. It can go in any directions. Okay, graph of functions on infinite intervals. For example, you may take your sine curve or cos curve. It is going like this, right? They do not have any fixed end. It goes like this on both the sides. Okay, these are some examples of unbounded regions. Now, we are getting back to the discussion that we have done in the previous class. That is, we are actually about to do a problem that tells us to describe the domain of f of xy equals under root y minus x square. So what did we do yesterday? In order for f to be well defined, we have this y minus x square is non-negative. So this tells us that y is bigger than or equals x square. Now we will, from this what we have concluded is that the domain consists of the points x, y such that y is bigger than or equals x square. This is our domain. Okay, when you try to plot your domain, what are you going to get? You know, this is an upward facing parabola. Okay, from this, when you consider only y is equal to x square, so y is equal to x square is the minimum quantity. It may be bigger than that as well. So when you are trying to identify the region above it, you are going to get this part. So like this it goes. Wherever you extend your parabola, you may very well see this thing goes like this. So this is the domain that we were looking for, and all these points is here. Your boundary points is simply the points that lie on the parabola. Okay, interior points means They are y bigger than x square. These points are the interior points. Next, we move to the concept of level curves. So what do we mean by a level curve? So first let me state it in a proper way. The set of points in the plane where a function of two variable x and y has a constant value f of xy equals c is called a level curve of the function f. If you pay attention and see the definition, you may very well see that f of xy is equal to c is a level curve, which means a function may have more than one level curve. Based on this value c, we are identifying some level curve, and that level curve is given by this equation. Got it? So next, the set of all points xy f of xy. Now these points are drawn on what? A three-dimensional setup. Okay, these points in three-dimensional setup means a space. In space, for every xy in the domain of f is called a graph of f. Okay, the graph of a function f is also called the surface. Is the surface z is equal to f of xy. Okay, so now let us work out some problems to understand these ideologies. Let us get into problems. I think if I write that in another color, you can understand it in a better way. So graph the function f of xy equals 100 minus x squared minus y squared, and plot the level curves f of xy equals 0, f of xy equals 51, and f of xy equals 75 in the domain of f in the plane. Okay, how are we going to do it? Let us see. First, let us mathematically identify, doing calculations, let us identify the level curves and we will try to plot them in the graph. Okay, so first, level curve f of xy equals 0. So what is f of xy? It is 100 minus x squared minus y squared is 0, which in turn gives us that x squared plus y squared is 0. Okay, next, level curve f of xy is 51. So 100 minus x squared minus y squared is 51, which gives us that if you take x squared plus y this minus x squared and minus y squared to the other side and take this 51 to the other side, you are going to get x squared plus y squared is 49. Okay, the next level curve is f of xy is 75. So 100 minus x squared minus y squared is 75, which tells us that x squared plus y squared is 25. Now in a three-dimensional setup, okay, let this be x-axis and let this be y-axis and let this be z-axis. So now you will have to draw a circles of different radius. This is what 10 squared, this is 7 squared, and this is 5 squared. So 5 squared means you are going to have a circle of this sort. Okay, 7 and then 10. So only these part I have drawn. Now if you extend this thing, you may very well see you are getting a circles of these sorts. So these circles are your level graphs. So till now what we have done is that we have just plotted only the level curves. Now we will have to plot the graph as well. So what is going to be a graph here? If you see, okay, when you take your x squared plus y squared is 100, your result is going to be 0. When your x squared plus y squared is 100, what? It is this circle. When you take points on this circle, okay, it is going to map with 0. So it is going to map with 0 in the sense, sorry. So z is equal to 0 means, z is equal to 0 means on the x-axis, on the y-axis as well as on the xy plane, your z value is 0. Okay, z value is 0, x square plus y square is 100 means this curve. Now let me choose what? If you consider this as a single variable, consider that as a single variable which is squared. Okay, supposing you have y is equal to x square, what is it? It is a parabola, right? Minus x square means it is again a parabola. The former one was facing upwards, this is facing downwards. So instead of x square, you have what? Minus x squared minus y squared. So it is going to be a parabola kind of a thing. So you are going to have a parabola kind of a thing which is in 3 dimensions. We call this as a paraboloid. Okay, if you want, I can use any of the computer tools to draw this. So what is the thing that we have to draw? It is 100 minus x squared minus y squared. So it is a huge thing. Yeah. So when you zoom out to the maximum, you are able to see this one. Okay. So you can very well see it starts at the point 100 and go downwards. Okay. So you can rotate and see the things. If you have to see the behavior of it, you can just zoom in and see what is happening. The fixed axis is this one, so here you are not actually able to see what is happening with this, but when you zoom out and see, when you zoom out and have your point 100 in the z axis, you are exactly able to see what is happening here, right? And the level curves was what? X squared plus y squared is 100. This was one of the curve, right? When you plot these curves on a 3-dimensional setup, it assumes z is equal to 0, and that is why you are getting a cylinder which is extended. Actually, the cylinder is an extension of what? Is an extension of a circle along z axis. Okay, if you try to plot this in a 2-dimensional setup, you may very well see your x square plus y square is x square plus y squared is 100. This is one thing, and x square plus y squared is 49. This is another one, and x squared plus y squared is 25. This is another one. Okay, here now let me turn this off. Okay, so if you see the projection of this one, here only on the positive side we are talking. So the below part we don't need to consider as of now. Okay, you are talking about the sorry, these circles. If you rotate this way, okay, rotate this way, here you are going to have those three circles which are very minute in this diagram because the scale is 50 units. Here the scale is 2 units. You may very well see the difference, and I hope you can understand these differences. Okay, so when you talk these things in a two-dimensional setup, we call this as level curves. Next, we are moving to the next concept, that is level surface. So level surface, the set of points x, y, z in space where a function of three independent variables has a constant value f of x, y, z equals c is called a level surface of the function f. Okay, here also let us see a problem. If you try to, here we are not talking about the graph of a three variable function because our humans can visualize only till 3 dimension. Here you are taking your input from a 3 dimension and you are trying to plot your output in the 4th dimension, which humans cannot visualize but we can feel. Okay, so the problem tells us to describe the level surface of the function f of x, y, z as under root x squared plus y squared plus z squared. So this is the thing that we have. Okay, so in order to find the level surface, we put f of x, y, z as some constant c, which tells us that under root x square plus y square plus z square is c, which is nothing but x square plus y square plus z square is equal to c squared. If you see what it is in the graph, it is as I told you people, I am not that good at drawing, so it is going to be a sphere. Okay, you will have a sphere of radius c. So whatever is given c, based on having that as a radius and origin as center, you are going to get a sphere, and that is the sphere, that is the level surface for this function. Okay, so here also you may talk about the interior points and boundary points. That let me tell you in a very simpler notations. Actually your interior points is something, if you can squeeze that, okay, in a two-dimensional setup, what was our interior point? If you are able to make that inside some disk, what was the disk? A circle. Here in three-dimensional thing, we will say inside some ball, a ball is nothing but a sphere. Okay, a sphere means we are considering only the outer layer. Circle means we are considering only the outer layer. Disk means we will consider the interior of the circles as well, and that has to be included in our setup. Okay, so in a solid ball, your point has to be there. Okay, there what was the case in interior points? All those points in the disk has to be completely in the region. Here, if you choose some space, some region R in a space, and if you are able to identify, you have a point, if you are able to identify a ball which consists of that point and the ball is completely lying in the region, then you call your point as an interior point. For the boundary point, whatever may be the ball that you choose, it has to contain some points inside the set and outside the set. These are the definitions of interior and boundary points for space things. Again, the same ideology of the same definitions of open set and closed sets remains for three-dimensional setup as well. Thank you.